Hey everyone, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending upon where you're joining us from. Today's education session is going to be focused on how you can leverage the latest in ERP analytics technology to help you streamline your cash disbursement and invoice review processes with Power BI. It's going to be a spotlight of the Lewis Group of companies in their journey to help with those initiatives. So before we jump in, I want to just cover a few housekeeping items. We will have time for Q&A at the end. The Zoom chat has been disabled, but you can enter all your questions in the Q&A section of the Zoom panel, and we'll make sure to answer those at the end. And then also we will be following up with the recording of today's session. So if you want to view it or share it with your colleagues, you can do that. All right, so to meet the team, my name is David Kettinger, and I've led the marketing team at Preferred Strategies now for a couple of years. And I'm really excited today because we have a special guest, Adriana Drake, who will be joining us. I'm going to introduce her here in a little bit more detail in a second. But before I do that, just wanted to kind of cover the agenda for today. So we'll start out with an intro to Preferred Strategies and the Lewis Group of companies, and then talk a little bit about why the Lewis Group chose to partner with Preferred Strategies and choose Power BI as their analytics platform of choice. And then we'll look at sort of what their pre-Power BI process was and how that's evolved. And then we'll jump into kind of the lessons learned and considerations for the Lewis Group of companies implementation strategy. And then in the end, we'll jump into a demo of their cash disbursement reports and invoice review processes in Power BI. And then again, we'll open it up for questions at the end. All right, so a little bit about Preferred Strategies. We've been around since 2002, and we help companies turn their corporate data sources into a trusted and powerful enterprise analytics platform. And that really serves to get the right information to the right people at the right time so your company can make smarter decisions. And we've built the QuickLaunch platform really for companies that have realized they want to replace their legacy ERP reporting tools and move to a more modern analytics platform. So this solution works by removing data silos and automating, these complex manual data workflows and really providing a proven framework for integrating all your corporate data sources. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and introduce Adriana. She's currently serving as the VP controller at the Lewis Group of Companies. And as a CPA with over a decade of experience in public accounting in the real estate sector, I'm really excited to have her here today to show us how the Lewis Group is progressing in their data-driven journey. So I think she's been a customer, it's been since 2020, and she's always a joy to talk to. She's an avid sports fan with two boys, so she stays busy, as you can imagine. So we appreciate your time, Adriana, and with that, I'll pass it over to you.
Awesome. Thank you, David. Appreciate the introduction. And yes, I am a boy mom. So when I am not working, you can definitely find me at the basketball courts or the football fields. And you know it's me because I'm that super loud mom screaming in the stands. So I tend to stand out. But yes, absolutely love working with Preferred Strategies and really excited to present what we have for you today. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. So first of all, really just wanted to, introduce Lewis Group of Companies. We're one of the nation's largest privately held real estate development companies. We were established in 1955, and I always love to share a little story because when I heard it, I just thought it was so neat. But Ralph and Goldie Lewis actually started the Lewis group of companies, or at that time, Lewis Homes, in their garage in Claremont, California in 1955. And they were actually CPAs. They had an accounting firm and they really specialized in home building clients and fell in love with that industry. And that's really when they decided to start Lewis Homes in 1955. And then in 1999, they actually sold Lewis Homes to KB Homes and really evolved the company into, this mixed use real estate company that it is today, really developing mixed use planned communities in California and Nevada, residential subdivisions in both California and Nevada, and then building and owning commercial properties, retail centers, office and industrial parks. So really have grown into quite the diverse real estate company. And then these are just some of our properties that we build and have managed, from our master plan communities to our retail centers, residential apartment homes, and then office and industrial parks. And then one of the things that I really love about Lewis is really the fact that they recognize the importance of really helping to make communities where we do business and live kind of just better places overall. And they are very active participants in the community. And they really believe in getting involved and giving back to the community. So we really just wanted to share and highlight some of the things that they've really contributed to communities where we do business and live. So some of you might be most familiar with USC, University of Southern California. They have the Ralph and Goldie Lewis Hall over there in Los Angeles. So pretty cool. This slide kind of just elaborates on what I really kind of discussed already. So I'm going to skip over this one. So starting really with, why did we decide to kind of partner with Preferred Strategies and Power BI? So the first thing really is, like I discussed, Lewis has a really diverse business landscape. We have several different lines of business and nearly 400 companies. So there really was a need for efficiency and really real-time data to ensure that our business constituents had access to financial data quickly. And that can really enable them to make some real-time decision making. Prior to Power BI, we were issuing reporting, monthly that maybe came a couple weeks after our close, and that was the first time they really had access to how they had done the prior month. So to be able to give them that real-time data was something that was really important. Another thing that really drew us to using Preferred Strategies and Power BI was their seamless connection to JDE data. One of the things that I personally loved about, the implementation and process of that connection to JDE is they were pulling in the data from JDE with actual terminology that accountants understand. It wasn't just, like the codes and the numbers, the F006 and, whatever that was that maybe you don't know as well as an accountant. Our IT folks are very familiar with that. But on the accounting side, we just want to know, where do we find, our business unit table or, our GL data. So that was a really nice feature with the implementation. And another thing was really just the ability to connect to other data sources. So we have already connected our Power BI to our bottom line, our AP automation software, which I'll talk a little bit more about that later. And we also connected to our TM1 database as well for some of our budgeting numbers. So that has been a really nice feature to kind of pull data from multiple places and multiple softwares. And in the future, we're looking to also connect to our electronic storage, MRI, which is our ERP that we use for the retail side, and then RealPage, which is our ERP that we use on the residential apartment side. So that's kind of just future looking what we're looking to do. And then last thing that really drew us to preferred strategies in Power BI was just really the fact that there's no developer experience required. I am not a technical person. I am an accountant, and I love the fact that I can create really meaningful reports within Power BI without having to have that technical background or the developer experience. It is very user friendly. And for the most part, once you've kind of gotten the training and learned, pretty easy to create some really awesome reports. So implementation and approach. So I just wanted to kind of quickly go over, what our approach was like as we started to implement Power BI. And the first thing, whenever we implement any type of software or new processes, we really want to look at our goals and really focus on figuring out, what do we want to accomplish. And here we really wanted to help accounting and our business users. And from that, we really started to identify some of the pain points and what challenges were in our existing processes. So one of the things we do at Lewis is we call it a wish list. But basically, it's just documenting our desired improvements. So we sit with our team and we really just kind of start throwing around ideas. If we can make this piece of software do everything we needed it to do, what are our challenges and what would we want it to accomplish? How would we kind of take those challenges and use this piece of software to sort of eliminate those? So we kind of just start to document all of the things we want to see, all the things we want to improve on. And then from there, we start to prioritize what we want to tackle first. And sometimes it's just the low hanging fruit. This is really easy. We can get it done fast. And sometimes this is really challenging and we really need to focus on getting this done because it has been a big challenge. And then we like to go slow. We like to start small because I feel like when you start small, you kind of learn as you go and you can learn from, previous experiences and then you kind of get better as you go. So you don't want to bite off more than you can chew. So that was kind of our approach as we started to implement Power BI. And from that implementation, we had identified a couple of areas that we felt needed some process improvement, and that came in through our AP side. So I'm going to start with our bottom line invoice status report. And I really want to talk about, what were our process challenges with this and why we created this particular report, and then how did it help us improve our process. So we implemented bottom line probably early 2020, which was actually perfect timing because you all know what happened in March of 2020 and people were sent home. And prior to that, we were still sending invoices around, hard copies of invoices and passing them around, in the office. And a lot of times we just didn't have any visibility of where these invoices were. So to implement a software like Bottomline to have our AP automation, that was really helpful. And it really helped us improve our electronic invoice routing at a time that, we really needed it. And it also helped with enhanced visibility in our accounting process. However, we started to notice that we still had some visibility gaps, even with a really good AP automation software. And some of those things we were realizing that we still didn't have the best visibility on was issues like pending approvals, on hold invoices, and then sometimes, duplicate invoices. People would send invoices in multiple times and not realize it. So those were still kind of challenging things, even with the AP automation software. And then the other thing was really just user experience. We kind of started to find that it wasn't the most user-friendly software for our business users. They found it just difficult to search for, invoices or to track issues or to even find issues. So that was another challenge that we kind of identified as we started our implementation and creating that sort of wish list I talked about. And then with the AP automation software, we were really hoping to achieve a point where there were less questions kind of getting funneled to the AP team and people were really able to kind of find things on their own. And that didn't really happen. So this is when we decided we needed to create a report within Power BI that really would help us with these challenges. So what we did within Power BI was number one, we wanted to address visibility. And with that, we created obviously this report, but we were able to improve the visibility for AP and business users by really creating real-time insights into the invoice status, as well as custom visualizations for certain issues and identifying certain issues that were pain points for us. And then we also enhanced our data representation for kind of effective decision making. So that was all really helpful, and we were able to bring to light where there were issues that you couldn't see without really digging into our AP automation software. And then the Power BI is a really user-friendly platform. It really requires very little training for your outside business users. Once they spend a little time in there, they are very comfortable with it. And I think it's because it's related to that Microsoft suite of products. So it has a lot of the functionality that a Microsoft product would have. So it is very user friendly. And one thing that we loved about Power BI and being able to connect to different sources of our data from JDE to bottom line was it now became the single platform for all relevant information. So it was the centralized, hub for information. So they didn't any longer have to go to JDE and then bottom line to find what they were looking for. Another thing that we added to our reports was this drill through functionality, where you can really drill through and access detailed information. So you have these kind of high level visuals that would identify an issue, and then they can drill down kind of deeper to find, the data and have a more like comprehensive analysis. And then we also added some flexible filtering to kind of just help the users filter down the data in order to find what it is they were looking for. Excuse me. And then lastly, we empowered our users because yes, we're happy to help answer questions, but when your AP team is trying to process thousands of invoices, sometimes it takes time for us to get to questions and to do the research. So when you are able to empower your users and give them the data really at their fingertips in an easy format and a user-friendly platform, then they can really find what they're looking for on their own without having to, wait for AP to look and answer the questions for them. And then in addition to that, there's some workflow management, and we really were able to manage workflow with really critical metrics and then track invoice progression using, the invoice date, the scan date, approval date, and processing time, which is helpful for department heads to really see where there may be some bottlenecks in the process or where maybe their team needs some additional training. So we really were able to provide some departmental performance insights. And then lastly, which I will show you, is we were able to create this URL link because we were connected directly to our bottom line software. We created these links so that you can click on and see kind of the cycle or the workflow cycle of an invoice through these audit trails, which is really helpful because if you have a vendor who's calling you and asking, why haven't I received my check? Where is it? And you can, very quickly open this report, search for the invoice, and then click on that audit trail and you can see when the invoice was received, if it was put on hold, perhaps we're waiting for a lien release or something from the vendor. We can quickly answer their question and say, yep, I see here, we put this on hold, we emailed you on this date, and we need a lien release. So it just makes all of that information really easily accessible and at your fingertips. And as you know, in JDE, you can't, make a note like that, but within the audit trails from bottom line, you can really pull that data in and be able to have that data, which is really important. So that was our first report we wanted to talk about, and we will go into a demo in just a bit and show you that one. The next one is our cash disbursement report. So this report was a huge manual accounting effort. So basically our accounting admin every day would gather data from our cash team, summarize that data, and prepare a summary report for our executives to review. So they would be looking at all of the payments that were cut from the prior day, just as another form of control, make sure, nothing went out that maybe shouldn't have, or if they had questions on something, they would ask for backup. This was really a time-consuming process, though, because we would kind of pass this report along to 4 different executives to review. And then if they had questions on an invoice, then they would reach out to accounting, and then accounting would go, find the backup and the support and get it back to them. And the inquiry handling just took a lot of time. Another thing that was a challenge with this was just our key performance indicators. Whenever an executive asks, well, how many checks did we cut? Or how much did we pay this vendor? We were able to get the data. We can, go in JDE and try to run some reports and export it out and, do a pivot table. But it took time. It wasn't just at your fingertips. So that was always, just a time-consuming ask. And then a lot of times, maybe they would find something, a check that was cut that maybe they didn't think should have been cut. Well, by the time they received the report and then they reviewed it and then they asked the question and they got the backup and support and found the problem, it was too late. The check was out the door. So it really just didn't give any time to really act on what was found in those reports. So with Power BI, we had a lot that we wanted to improve there, right? So number one being time savings. And with creating the report in Power BI, we actually completely eliminated the need for our admin to prepare the report at all. So that freed up her time to do more important things versus, preparing a report. And then in addition to that, there was no wait time. The report's just available every single morning. So we're getting the report quicker and just eliminated the need for that manual report generation. And then we also created in the report custom viewing options. So users can really tailor their view based on, what it was that they wanted to see, whether it be monthly, quarterly, year to date, or custom date ranges. Our previous report, we were really just getting the prior day and all of the payments that were, posted the prior day. With this report, we can really select a date range and see anything that we wanted. So that was really, really helpful. And then again, with the KPIs, those were now just right there as cards on our report. We didn't have to go in JDE and run reports and create pivot tables to get answers that our executives were looking for, like how much did we cut in the last quarter for AP payments, and how many checks did we cut, and how many ACH. That was just all things that we kind of built into the report, knowing what the asks had been of our executives previously. And then again, we've empowered our users to really have that self-serve capability and be able to independently manage their requests using the invoice lookup and the different search capabilities to locate the vendor invoices and backup support data. Excuse me. In this report, we also created those drill throughs to access detailed invoice data, as well as URL links to our bottom line software so that they can grab the copies of the invoice, any attachments, and also see those audit trails. So really big improvements and time savings in this particular report. So I'm going to stop share for a second so that I can open Power BI and we can start our demo. All right. Okay, David, can you just confirm for me you can see my Power BI?
Yeah, we're looking at the InFocus presentation app.
Perfect. Thank you.
Mhm.
Okay, so this is our bottom line status report. So just full disclosure, we're just showing numbers, so supplier numbers and company numbers. We've hidden the names and company names, but absolutely as you build these out, that's how it's probably something you want to be able to see is the names, but that's why you're not seeing them here just because confidentiality purposes. But this is our bottom line status report. You can see up here, it was last updated on the 21st. So this is prior day data, but still, very close to real time, I'll say. So these visuals were really created based on the challenges that we had and what people were saying that they wanted to see within bottom line, but it was just too hard for them to search and find. So this first visual here is just our invoices pending approval by department and supplier. And I'll show you that supplier side in a second. But this is really handy because if you're, our CFO or CEO or VP, or maybe you manage multiple departments, you can see here exactly how many invoices are pending approval by department. So really just helpful to quickly see, where you are, where there may be some bottlenecks in the process. And when we hover over these, you'll see that a tooltip kind of pops up and it'll tell you, you can right click to drill through and see more data. So I'll go ahead and do that. So it said we had 108 invoices pending approval in this particular department. So here you can see all of those invoices, the supplier number, the invoice date, invoice number, the date that it was scanned to bottom line. And then these little links over here is what I was telling you earlier, but they are links to the audit trail, which is super helpful. So I'm going to just pick one of these. Let's look at this one because you'll see the invoice date here was September. It looks like we received it and scanned it in December. So I'm going to click on that and it is going to open the audit trail. And you can see there's a lot going on with this one. But it's helpful because you can go through and see exactly, what was happening, if it was put on hold, why was it put on hold? I can see right here, it looks like on January 9th that it was put on hold because we're waiting for a change order. And then you can see our system automatically escalates it every 7 days. So again, and then we finally actually released that hold, looks like yesterday. But just really helpful information. If a vendor were to call me and ask me about, why they haven't been paid on this invoice, I can quickly get the information and tell them, hey, looks like we've been emailing you, we need a change order for this work so that we can cut your check. So very helpful information at your fingertips. I'm gonna just click back here. So I did mention that here it's invoices pending approval by department and supplier, and I'll show you why it's and supplier. If we click this turn on drill down, and I click in that same so-called land department, I just click on it. It is now going to show me of those 108 invoices, how many are, these are supplier numbers here, how many are pending approval by supplier. So now I can see this 251346 supplier, they have 13 invoices that are pending approval. So maybe I want to look into that more. Maybe we're missing insurance or something on that particular supplier that has us with, that many invoices pending approval. I'll drill back up. This next box is our days invoice pending approval was last updated. So it just kind of tells me when was the last time this invoice was touched. And again, you can hover over these and drill through to that particular invoice and click on the audit trail and get more information there. This next box, which was also a challenge we identified, was our on hold invoices. So this one is really just telling us how many days since this invoice has been put on hold. So again, same thing, you've got your suppliers here and how many days it's been since it's been put on hold. So really just quickly being able to see where there's issues and looking at those. And our AP team is also monitoring this just to make sure that, people aren't letting things slip. And then we've got this box here, which I did mention as well, which was a challenge for us, were duplicate invoices. So before, there wasn't a good way really to figure out if the invoice was, put in the system several times. And it happens pretty often where somebody sends an invoice to their email inbox and they forget they already sent it and they resend it again. So this kind of just shows us really quickly those that are duplicated so that our AP team can clear them up and make sure they get rid of the duplicates. And then this box down here is just more detail on our invoices on hold so that we can see, the reasons for why they're on hold. I'm going to click to the details page now. So as I mentioned, we wanted to create different ways for our business users to kind of filter the data. So that first page is really nice because it's really showing, okay, these were our challenges, these were issues that were challenging for us, and we're really highlighting those so you can quickly see where there may be issues that you want to look at. But this page is really for maybe there's something particular that I really want to search for. I know exactly what I'm looking for, and I just need to find that audit trail so I can see what happens. So you can then come to this kind of details page and search using these different filters. I'm going to reset this. So here I can search by, my document status, whether I want to look at invoices that have already been approved, pending approval. Maybe I want to look at the rejected, what's just been scanned. You can kind of decide there. If I want to look at multiple departments, maybe, I'm in charge of commercial development and commercial leasing. So I want to see all the invoices there. We created this filter so you can look at current user. So where is an invoice sitting? And then these tap IDs basically transform AP or bottom line ID numbers. So you can look by that as well to kind of search for the different data. And then over here, as I was talking about in a few slides back, these kind of show us our kind of performance indicators. How long did it take from the invoice to approval or scan date to approval? How many days did it take for AP to process? So we can really see, where there's issues like, whoa, why did this one take 80 days? Let me look at the audit trail. So just really quick ways to see where there may be issues. Like I said, where you can do some additional training. There's a 54-day one. So just helpful helpful indicators there. And then over here is where you'll see any on-hold invoices. Okay, so next I'm going to go to our cash disbursement report. And I'm going to click on this prior day. So this report actually always defaults to the prior day check date, so 2/21/2024. This really duplicates our previous report, that our cash disbursement report. And you can see up here, these are those cards I was talking about with kind of our KPIs. These are things that our executives would ask us for, and we'd have to go pull them out of JDE and, sum them up and give them some answers. But this just tells us really quick without anybody having to go do any, research or create any pivot tables or anything like that. So I can see really quickly my total AP payments from yesterday, the total number of payments, checks, wires, ACHs, and if there were any voids. So that's really all very easy up top here. This is a drill through, so you can drill through to the details and see all of your details for all your payments. Then we have two visuals down here. This one is our AP payment amount by company. So I can quickly see this company 70350 issued the most amount of payments yesterday, with about 48% of our portfolio, with over $1 million. And I can right click and drill through to that if that's something that I want to look more into. And then on this side, I have my payment totals by supplier. So I can easily see which supplier I sent the most payments to. And again, you'll be able to drill through to details if you hover over and then right click on that. So I'll do that on one of these. So here I can see my company that issued these payments, my supplier number, invoice number, payment amount, and then here I have the links to the URL link to the invoice. If there's any additional attachments that were included, you would see a link here. Neither of these had that. And then again, that audit trail to see, the whole life cycle of that invoice. And then the second page we created so that you have some more flexible filtering. Our previous cash disbursement report, like I said previously, you can only see the prior day, but we really wanted people to be able to see whatever date range that they needed to look at. So maybe, they wanted to look at what did we do in 2023? So you can use this report to go in here and select that. So I'm going to change this date range here. And I'm just going to look year to date. So I'm going to select January 2024 through, yesterday, 2/21. And you can see those visuals changed as I did that. And I can quickly see all my cards up here changed. So if my, CFO or CEO says, hey, Adriana, I need to know how much payments we've cut in AP for the year, I can quickly come here, change the date range, and get those answers really quick. And then again, you have those same similar visuals you had on the prior day. And I'm going to click on this company and drill through to the details. I just want to show you guys what that URL link looks like to the invoice. So I'm not going to click on this one just because it has our vendor name and things, but I did already do that before this, and I saved it up here and blacked out what we didn't want to show. But this is what happens essentially when you click on that URL link. This was the invoice that gets pulled up, and you can see it ties out to the amount there, and I can quickly see the backup and support. And those are the things that, our executives were looking for when they were looking at that paper report that was being passed around that they had to then go ask accounting for, and then accounting had to go search for it. Now they can get it just at a click of a link, and it's just so easy to get the support and figure out what was this for. And then again, you have those audit URLs, and then here you can see where there were attachments to the invoice. So sometimes those could be maybe just email support, maybe a lien release, anything like that, that just helped with support, but wasn't the actual invoice. And then the other nice thing about this details page, if you reset this actually is going to show me now everything from this date range. So if I'm just looking again for a specific supplier or even a specific invoice number, because I want to make sure, that check cut, I can just filter from this here. So let's see. I'm just going to select that. And then I can see all of, the invoices cut across all companies for that particular supplier. So that's really helpful too, because maybe you're looking for, how many payments have we sent to this particular supplier for the year. So just a lot of different flexible filtering options so that your business users can really find what they need and really help them do their job easier and efficiently. And that was really the goal of these two reports. So I'm going to go back to my PowerPoint. Give me a second. And let me reshare. Okay, so that was everything I had for you guys, including the demo. And now if we have any questions, I love to address those.
Awesome. Thank you, Adriana. We did have a couple questions come in.
Awesome.
But yeah, you did an amazing job. It's great to see how the Lewis Group is really benefiting from Power BI and getting these measurable process improvements. So the first question I had here was, after implementing the new invoice lookup process, when did you notice it was working? And there was a follow-up. How much time would you say you saved on a monthly basis after that?
Wow, yeah, that's a great question. So I think for one, we still did get initially questions from the field. And that's okay. But what we found was our AP team was able to find the answer so much quicker with using Power BI. And what they tried to do was send like a screenshot of Power BI or remind those users, hey, yeah, absolutely, I'd love to help you with that question. Here's where I found it in Power BI. So that way they were really empowering the users for future, reminding them like, hey, you can go here and find it. And then we noticed as we did that, we started to get less and less questions. So that was kind of how we handled that, as far as, being able to see, were people using it? How are they using it? And, we would check in with our AP team. How is it going? How many questions are you getting still? Are you able to find what you need quickly utilizing Power BI? And they would give us their feedback as well. So we worked really closely with them just to make sure that they were seeing the benefits of that report, and everything that people wanted to see was really there. And then as far as measuring how much time savings, that's probably a tough one. But if I had to guess, I would say over a weekly basis, easily at least 5 to 10 hours, honestly, because we would
Wow.
get so many questions. And it's gone from getting just hundreds and hundreds of questions to a really, really small amount now, because so many people are just really comfortable with going into Power BI and finding it on their own.
Awesome. That's a great answer. Thank you. The second question I had here was, is bottom line the document storage system that keeps your invoice PDFs and images?
So
And
yes, so bottom line is storing those invoices and attachments and PDFs. It is our AP routing system. So we our invoices get scanned and they get pushed into that system, and then they get routed to each person who needs to approve it and code it, and then it gets pushed into JDE. But yes, it does store the invoices and attachments. So we pretty much just connected to that software to pull the data, like the statuses, where it is in the route, the audit trails, the invoice, the attachments, and everything.
got it. This person had a follow-up question, which was, how does that integrate into Power BI? I think they're talking about the links.
Um, I did tell you guys at the beginning, I am not the technical person. So I worked really closely with Jim at Preferred Strategies, and I have to give him 100% of the credit. He did all of the linking and setup in order to get those URL links and to build that connection with bottom line. So if that's something you're interested in doing, I would definitely talk to someone at Preferred Strategies. They did a great job with that. I have no idea.
I used to be a consultant for a few years. So basically, yeah, bottom line, I guess, it has an image link to the document, and you have to be able to relate that most likely through a series of concatenated fields around invoice number, document number, and then build that back into your Power BI data set. So okay, I think that answers that question. And the last question I have here was, what was the biggest challenge of getting your end users and executives to adopt the new system or the new process?
Yeah, that is definitely a great question, because that is a challenge. And most people don't like change, especially when it's technology. So we really hosted a lot of training sessions to really get them comfortable. And we onboarded very slowly. So we did departments at a time, made sure that they were comfortable. We followed up with them. And then, like I said, with the AP, we kind of said, when they asked a question that we knew they can go to Power BI and find themselves, we kind of pointed them in that direction. Yeah, I found that for you. It's right here. Here's a screenshot from Power BI. And then they'd be like, they'd start to get it after a while. Okay, I get it. I should probably just go to Power BI. But yeah, we did these in-depth trainings with them. And it was actually, very well received. We just trained our commercial team. We built these really awesome reports recently for them on their statement of operations, some portfolio reports, and some of their CAM reports in order to see their expenses. And they were really excited about it. And I think that if you get excited about what you're showing them and you're really talking to your business users prior to kind of building out these reports, like, hey, what are your challenges? What do you want to see? How can we really help you do your job better? And then take those into consideration as you're building out these reports, so that when they're built, you can say, hey, like, we heard you and this is what you needed to see. So we want to show you what we built for you. We're really excited. Here's how you can do this quicker and more efficiently. Then they're going to use it because they're going to see the benefits in it, and they're going to be really excited to use it. So our commercial team, we barely trained them a few weeks ago, and I know they're using it because they're already, sending me questions, or they're sending me comments saying, oh my gosh, this is so great. Thank you so much for building these. This makes this easier. I was able to find this. So it's just been really rewarding to see how we've been able to help our business users get access to data that they really need, and they can't wait for the end of the month for us to send these, reports out to them. And so it's been really good.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. I think you made a great point. If you can get them involved earlier on in the development process, then they sort of become stakeholders in it. And I think that's probably one of the best pieces of advice for getting adoption, right? Um,
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
that was the last question, I believe. So thanks again, Adriana, for your time, and thank you everybody for joining us today. If you're interested in learning more, we have regular online events. We also have a few conferences we'll be at over the next few months. So we'd love to see you at those. Um, and yeah, hope everybody has a great rest of their week, and we'll see you on the next session.
Thank you.
Bye bye.